Hi, welcome to Live in the Labyrinth, our pre-session for doing some character creation so that you guys can see how character creation works in the Fantasy Trip system. My name is Jimmy Bragdon. I'm going to be game mastering and leading this particular adventure or character creation session. And
my name is Randy Schuneman. I am going to be playing and building a character for this system, which I don't know a whole lot about.
Yeah, the system is going to be new to most of us. We're a little bit familiar, but this is kind of our first foray into it for each of us. So we're going to be kind of learning as we go. So for character creation, what type of character are you thinking about playing?
Just a weapon-wielding warrior type.
So just straight up warrior.
It's going to be damage, slinging damage, standing out front. That's what he does.
I'm thinking like a sword and board, big armor, swashbuckler.
A more barbarian style without a lot of the stereotypical barbarian stuff.
So you're not just abs for armor?
It actually will be, but no sword and board. A lot of looking in the book, it suggested certain things for barbarian, and I'm going with about half of them.
Okay.
I think.
So the Fantasy Trip is a 3-stat system. So primarily we're going to be looking at strength, dexterity, and intelligence. So what we're going to do, usually for a starting character, it is 32 points. Because the adventure that I'm going to be starting everybody on is a little bit more advanced, we're going to start with 36-point characters. So as a human, which is the base assumption for most characters, you start with an 8 strength, an 8 dexterity, and an 8 IQ. And then you can spend points from there to raise those up, 1 point per thing you want to bring up. Now for strength. Strength is a stat that determines how strong you are, how much damage you can take, how much you can carry, how large of a weapon, how heavy armor you can use, all things you would kind of expect it to cover. What were you thinking for that?
Are we being human?
What do you want to be human? Do you want to be something else?
I noticed that if elves are wearing nothing or cloth, they get more movement.
Okay.
And since I intend on kind of going that way anyway, although it's not like normal in the picture in my head, being an elf.
Thinking being an elf?
Yeah, going nuts, kind of barbarian-ish elf is kind of cool to me.
Okay, so for elves, instead your starting is going to be a 6 strength. They don't have as strong a base starting strength. Dexterity of 10, and an IQ of 8. Okay. So they're more dexterous and less strong at a base level than humans. So we're going to start there, and you can go ahead and start spending points to get that up. Now, an average score for an adventurer is 9 to 11. So somewhere in that range is what basic character starts off just below average for an adventurer. And you'll spend up from there. So what are we thinking for?
So the totals are going to wind up being 36 of these points spent. Although it's at 6, 10, and 8, if the 3 totals get up to 36 and are above 6 strength, 10 dex, and 8 intelligence, we're good.
Yeah.
There's no, if I spend a 13th or 14th or 15th point in a stat, it doesn't cost more to put in those?
Not a character creation.
Okay.
Later on, when you're expanding your character, you do it via experience points instead of build points, and that's a whole different story that we're not getting into because we're just making characters right now.
All right. I think if it's 13 strength, that'll let me do some stuff. 12 dexterity.
Okay, so dexterity is going to determine how fast you are, when you go in actual physical combat, adjusted by any armor you're wearing. You're not wearing any armor, probably, so it's probably not going to be adjusted down. Also, that's your roll to hit things, dodging things, that sort of stuff.
Right. And then that leaves 11 points for intelligence.
So a little bit of intelligence in there. Average intelligence for an adventurer to get some skills, maybe some spells. We'll get to all that in a little bit.
Yeah.
So that gives you a total of how many points did you spend?
13 plus 12 plus 11 is 36.
No, 36 points spent up from your...
36 on top of 6, 10, and 8? That would seem like a tremendous amount.
Let me double check that, but yeah, we are going to get... oh yeah, you're already right, total points. So you start with those stats and 8 extra points
that would have
total.
done big math things, these individuals would have been gigantic.
Yeah, so normally it's 8, 8, 8, and an extra 8, which is 32.
Right.
We're doing an extra 12 points.
Yeah.
So yeah, those should total to 36 points.
The 3 stats total to 36. If I am not wrong, which I have been in the past,
Right.
13 plus 12 plus 11 is 36.
All right, so we've got our base stats for your character then.
Okay.
All right. So from there, then we're going to go to the talents and spells. So are you thinking so in the fantasy trip, a hero is a sort of fighting character. They specialize in various fighting and any other skills, any other non-magical skills. That's what you're building. The other choice would be to build a wizard, which specializes in spellcasting and magic. So since you're building a hero, you are going to be able to buy talents for their listed price. You can buy you can still learn spells, but they're going to be 3 times the normal cost because you're not a wizard.
Right.
Were you playing a wizard, spells would be normal cost for you,
But
and talents would be double points for you.
Oh.
Because learning a physical talent is not as hard as learning arcane energies.
That makes sense.
If you would like to take any spells, you can, but they're going to be triple cost for you.
We're going to stay away from spells. I thought about it, but it really didn't. I didn't need it.
Not really
No.
what he's about. All right, so you've got basically for your talents then. Flip to the talent section of the book that we're using, which is in the labyrinth here. We're going to hop over to the talents page. Now, the talents and spells both are sorted by IQ. So there's, starting at 7, you have a list of talents that are available to you at IQ 7, and then another at 8, another at 10, sort of the minimum with IQ level set for those things. So if you're not that bright, you're not going to be doing differential equations.
I thought about doing it, just putting nothing in IQ, but you are so much less effective, even with a giant strength and a giant dexterity. Yeah, you're going to hit, but you can't. Anything else, all the other little stuff isn't there.
Finesse it in your game at IQ 7.
You're taking hits. You better be wearing big armor, that sort of stuff. And even then, that pulls back on your dexterity from what I've read. So, being intelligence 11.
Right. So intelligence 11
means I can have anything 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. I can have 11 points worth of stuff in there.
Yeah, you can have 11 points of things. Each talent has a point cost in the book. Most are 1 or 2. And you could choose off the list from IQ 7 up to IQ 11. So what sorts of things were you thinking about?
Well, to basically run around in cloth or nothing, you really need toughness, it seems like, in this game.
Okay.
So toughness is, if I remember right, it's an IQ 9.
It's an IQ 9 ability.
And you can take, it costs 2, but you could take it twice. As long as you have, I can't take it twice. I don't have strength 14.
Yeah, you need strength 14 to take a second level of it. So do you want to adjust that? Do you want to be extra tough, or do you want us to have a little bit of dex there? Or you can drop that intelligence down 1. It's only IQ 9 to
all
learn
of
it.
This hinged on a certain thing happening. So we're going to go down to Dex 11.
Dex 11.
And go up to, I was 1 point shy where I needed to be.
All right, go up to strength 14.
Strength 14.
Okay.
Dang it. Oh, well.
So you're going to want to take 2 levels of toughness. That's going to be 4 points, because each level costs 2 points. So for toughness, years of combat experience have made you hard to hit, and you know how to take a blow. You can take this talent twice. Each toughness acts like armor to subtract 1 point from every attack made against you. So by default, your abs of steel and experience are going to take 2 points off of the damage that comes into you.
Right.
So that's 4 of your 11 points for talents. So
4 of my 11 points.
You've got 7 left. What else are you thinking about doing? Is there? Do you want to specialize in a weapon? Do you want to have some abilities outside of fighting? What sort of things are you thinking?
I've got questions about how experience works later.
Okay.
So to buy another point of strength later, like how many experience points are you looking at getting in between any one of these games?
I'd have to check the things, but I know that usually a couple hundred experience I think was normal. XP reward. So they've got some suggestions here. It looks like 25 to 100 XP per player per session is what the book recommends as a guideline. So think you're probably topping out at 100 experience points a session. If you've done something particularly good, maybe both. Or maybe a bonus, not both. You might get 125. You might. You really role played that bit out real well there. So we're going to give you a 20 XP point bonus sort of thing. So that's what you're getting roughly per session. And at the end, bring up your base stats. Scales has a scale to it. So at our level of your next point that you could get on your attributes would be point number 37. That would cost 600 XP. So you're talking like probably 5 to 6 sessions, maybe more, to get that next attribute point.
Right. So it'd be pretty much the whole experience we're doing here.
Yeah, probably for the run that we're doing, which we're looking to like probably thinking like 8 sessions. That's probably going to be the run. You could up one stat once, maybe at the end of it.
But you'd be kind of static for the whole game, except for that one time.
Right. It kind of hits right around that 36, 37, maybe 38th stat point is kind of where the plateau hits, and you can really try to focus on improving your stats. But a lot of people break at that point over into more skills and talents and things like that at that point.
All right. So I'm one stat point away from magical land.
Well, 1 to 2, yeah.
Well, yeah. So it's not really going to be worth it to go up there. So we're still going to... I may adjust these strength, dex, and intelligence, but I know I want a really high strength.
Okay.
Dex, I think I may drop my dex by 1. Maybe we'll try to get the biggest axe or something just to be that crazy thing.
Okay.
So
other talents, where you're looking to like specialize in a style or a weapon or something out of combat.
I'd like I kind of envisioned originally this individual not having a very high intelligence,
right?
And then just pushing everything into another category. But it does very odd things. When you don't have a very high intelligence, you can't
learn a lot of things.
Your options for taking things are severely limited.
True.
I still may do it. Like by the time we're done with this experience, I may have adjusted these numbers back down.
Right.
But I know I need at least 9 intelligence to do this toughness, this double toughness, which I'm really interested in.
Okay.
I'd like to take at least axes and maces, which is the very lowest level, the intelligence 7.
Oh, okay. So specializing in we're looking at
so axes.
So
and
a weapon talent, yeah. Specializing in axe mace. So,
right.
It's the ability to use all axes, maces, and hammers on the weapon table. So it's going to be 2 points for that.
Yeah.
And you basically have proficiency with any sort of axe or mace thing that you're going to be picking up.
And that includes, like, anybody can use a club. Anybody can just pick up a stick and hit someone with it. But
weighty enough to be considered a club falls in that category. Anybody can use it, but you're going to be fine. That's going to be kind of your specialty. Any large objects, blunt or bladed, that are heavy on the one end is kind of what you focus on there.
I'd like to maybe grab one. Look at the top end of this intelligence. So look at intelligence 11.
11. What's we have?
So we could actually 11. Get out of here.
Because
I was interested in 2 weapons.
So having an axe in each hand, maybe.
Yeah.
Okay.
These 2 weapons had a dexterity of 11.
Right. And you have to have the talents for those types you plan to use that.
So,
so let's use 14 style fighting. So basically 2 weapon fighting styles.
If I was a fencer, I already have it.
Yeah, but any combination does this. You attack with both weapons at normal for the first attack, -4 for the second one,
or you parry,
or normal and parry,
which you'll get.
Or parry both. Yeah.
So I think we may switch back over instead of axes, go to swords, but I'd like to do the 2 weapons.
So 2 weapons is another 2-point cost thing, and it requires your Dex 11. So your Dex and
all of these
stat are locked.
Strength, Dex, intelligence are set there.
Yeah, because you have to have 11 to use this one. All right, and so that is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of your 11 points. So you've got 3 left to do stuff with.
I had Let's look backwards. I
Right.
looked at because I've looked at this book a little bit before we got here,
Yeah, just to get an idea
Just-
of
so we weren't searching through everything.
right. So we don't have to read the whole book on camera, which is boring. We're just
It's
reading a little
not-
bit of a book on the camera, which is still a little boring,
Not
but we'll
great.
try to keep it.
Right. Going back down to these lower ones. No. Do.
Do you want to ride a horse? Did you want to?
No. Nor am I going to be literate.
Okay.
We will see how long it takes everyone to figure it out. That I am just faking it and be like, hey, read this quick. What does it say? I'll hold them off. Like sort of tricks.
All right. So literacy, you actually do have to spend for literacy in Fantasy Trip. It's not an assumption. So we're skipping literacy. Familiar with the area. Boats. Do you want to be able to swim?
Go to the first page.
First page.
I was thinking to do brawling and carousing,
okay. So just
which would be 1 point and 1 point apiece. Basically, a party animal. If you're in a brawl, you get a little bit bonus to like, hey, if ever you're in a situation where there's a busted table, you can make a club.
right. Grab the table leg.
You can make a club or a knife.
Use the chair.
Right.
Yes.
You can always you can turn a bottle into a knife, a very bad knife, but a knife nonetheless.
Right.
You can always find a club when other people are like, "There's nothing here for you." You can go, "There's a club."
And carousing, basically, you know how to have a good time in a bar. You get positive reaction rolls when you're out drinking and reveling. And from those who remember a recent, like, oh yeah, the other regulars in the taverns, like, oh yeah, that guy, he's hilarious.
Right. And the last point I was thinking about, there is a particular, where is it? Streetwise. Basically, this is not a pleasant individual. This is
Right.
an individual who is okay with being unpleasant. You know, it's
So Streetwise basically gives you you roll fewer dice, which makes you get an easier roll when you're trying to look for stolen, illegal, dodgy things, that sort of stuff. So you can blend in seedier places, and you might even be aware of some of the local Thieves Guild politics or players in the area. So we're going to go Streetwise for one, carousing for one, and brawling for one.
right.
All right, and that's going to round out your points.
That would round out the points. I think we're going to switch from axe mace over to swords.
Swords?
Because I noticed that when we look at the weapons themselves, the weapon chart, it would be breaking over right at a bastard sword, which you can use two-handed or one-handed. So if I was using two of them, I could dual wield bastard swords one-handed, or if I'm forced to use only one, if one is disarmed, dropped, I can switch to a two-handed style and get the benefits.
Sure. Okay, so we're done with picking what you're going to
Done
be.
with-
Yeah. We're not going to go deep into equipment, but let's look at like the weapons and armor that you're probably going to be using. So you're good at swords.
Good at swords.
And your strength is 14. So in this game, we're looking at the weapon table, which weapons and armor do have strength limits, minimums on being able to use them. So you're not going to be using the great sword if you're a weakling. Or
Yeah.
walking around a plate, you probably just fall around a plate.
It makes
so,
sense.
So there's some minimum set. So at a 14, you can use a two-handed sword. You can use a bastard sword with two hands or with one hand.
I'm thinking it would be dual-wield bastard swords.
Dual-wield bastard swords. And I believe that two weapon just said they have to be one-handed items, so I believe that's going to be fine.
They would be used. There's a one-handed version and a two-handed version. I wouldn't be like the sword isn't different, but the way you're using it is, and the bonuses you get from it are.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make sure there's no limit on two weapons of how big a thing is, as long as you can just wield it.
One-handed, as far as I read.
Yep, check with weapons. Yep, there's no limit. I was going to say any weapon under a certain strength that is not there. So you can two bastard swords. You're 14 strength. You are well above the average for humans and elves. So you are beefy.
We settled on that 14 strength, 11 dex, 11 intelligence.
Yep.
We've got 4 points spent in toughness
So two
twice.
levels of toughness.
So that's 4 points. 2 points spent in swords.
Right.
So we'll pick up a bastard sword or two
Right.
bastard swords. Brawling, carousing, and streetwise, I don't need to buy anything for those.
Right.
But I did pick that elf, so I want to stay under leather armor. So
Yeah, because elves get a bonus to their movement if they are in unarmored or cloth armor.
yeah,
Unarmored or cloth, and 10 if they're wearing only leather. So
and 10 is normal.
10 is the movement for a normal human character, and most characters is 10. If you specialize in various races, that's going to change. The elf, like we said, gets advantages if he is lightly or unarmored. And I believe toughness.
And you're in leather armor, your movement would be 8, but an elf is up to 10.
An elf gets it to 10.
Right.
Well,
so I could stay at leather and just sort of, hey, that'll work, because I'm getting the movement that I otherwise would lose.
Right. So you could go up to leather. You could do
leather
armor. So with leather armor, we're looking at it, and it is.
Elves are very leather.
Yeah. So it's going to stop 2 hits. It's going to take 2 off your dex. And normally it makes your move 8. So your move, because you're an elf, is going to stay at 10. Now that dex, this your adjusted dex. Your dex is normally 11. It's going to be adjusted down to a 9.
And
so
when that number is for how I'm when I'm trying to hit people.
And anything you're doing that rolls a dex, almost everything uses your adjusted dex.
Okay.
So once you put on that armor, while you are naturally on the top end of average for dexterity, once you put that armor on, you're moving a little bit less. You're at the bottom end of average because it's slowing you down a little bit. If you're wearing plate armor, it's like -5 to your dex. You do not move you're not doing acrobatics in plate armor unless you were basically Olympic grade before.
Right.
And then you're doing some basic, you can do a somersault maybe. So yeah, the armor adjusts down your dex. That is what you roll to hit and what you roll for various acrobatic feats and that sort of thing. So that's pretty much what we're looking at. So let's recap what you've got. You're an elf.
I'm an elf.
You're a well above average strength elf. You're 14 strength.
Yeah.
You've got an 11 dexterity, which is
high end of average.
And you've got an 11 intelligence, which is high end of average. So you are an experienced adventurer who is a pretty exceptional individual, high end of average and really strong.
Right.
You are tough. You've been in a lot of fights and stuff. Probably by nature of your carousing and brawling, you've learned a lot about how to take a hit.
And apparently dealings with the underworld as well.
It looks like you started off as kind of a seedy character there, and then just improved from there.
I don't know if I'm going to get any less seedy.
Well, so you learn how to take a hit real well. So there's your toughness. You have learned how to wield swords.
Yes.
Ambidextrously. Large swords ambidextrously because you're strong, so you stay fit. And then that's the 2 weapons. So that's your character. This strong 2-weapon fighting elf in leather armor, who is a good brawler, drinks, is good at carousing, and has some knowledge of the seedier parts of town. Do you have a name for the character yet?
I don't. I hadn't. Names are always tough.
Yeah.
Like you want it to be perfect, and it's. I don't know.
Well, we'll figure out what the name is when we get there. But that's character creation. Is there anything you ran across here that you've got any other further questions on?
Money. How does money work?
Money. You'll get money through adventuring. I'll probably provide you guys with some starting equipment. I'll look. I haven't gone in yet and looked at the specific module we're running to see what other starting equipment you'll get. But probably we'll definitely give you guys enough for your basic equipment and probably some adventuring packs. And I'll probably just give you some and a small bit of cash if you want to buy some extras. There's some equipment tables with general equipment like rope and picks and backpacks and stuff. And we'll figure all that out and get everybody that when they get started. But you'll have basically some basic adventuring equipment and a little bit of cash to work with. Beyond that, you guys are going to have to find it. And that's probably part of why you guys are going to be going on the adventure.
I would imagine.
So this is character 1. We're going to have a few more characters with us for the game that we're going to be starting soon. But we wanted to give you this kind of back-end look on how you actually go through making a character, because we're not going to do all these on camera for the first session. People are going to come with them made, but we wanted to see one getting put together. Our show, Live in the Labyrinth, is going to be a live stream show. We're going to be running Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Central on Facebook Live and Twitch. If you can follow us, there should be some links down here somewhere, probably below the video, depending on which service this is up on. But we're starting on this coming Wednesday, September 18th, and just come out and check it out and see how this game goes, and if this seedy elf survives for very long.
I got good odds.
You can take a hit.
Yes, that was the plan.
All right, we'll see you guys later.